We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that. And we're sorry if that has taken place.
Our heart goes out to every single person who's ever been a victim of sexual assault, sexual abuse, or rape.
You're an ass.
Ashton knows who Danny Masterson is. Ashton knows the women Danny Masterson attacked. By the way, I reached out to the Jane Does, told them I was going to do this video. One of them said, I have 2 words for Ashton Kutcher. Fuck you. Okay. The other one said, oh my fucking Christ, I'm speechless. And the other one said, good Lord, that is some terrible acting. And then said, we did not mean to traumatize the victims, and we're sorry if that has taken place. Should have been. We are sorry we traumatized and re-victimized you, Chrissy, Jen, and Nisha, and all of his other victims. We're sorry for hurting you, but we're crazy fucking bitches, which is a little bit of an inside joke. We're talking about something I did a video about 7 months ago and something I did a video about this morning, which is the role that Ashton played in allowing a murderer to walk free. And I did a video about this morning. I'm not going to rehash the whole video. But in that video, I described a phone call that Ashton Kutcher made to Danny Masterson after leaving the house of his then girlfriend, girl he was dating. And he found, upon entering that house, that she had been killed. And instead of calling the police, he left the house. He sat outside in his car for an hour outside that house, having emergency crisis phone calls with his team and all sorts of members of his team and the creator of That 70s Show. And he called one Danny Masterson. Chrissy is the source of the information about the content of the phone call that Ashton Kutcher made to Danny Masterson after leaving Ashley Ellerin's house and finding her dead. That is how I know Ashton Kutcher sat outside his house for an hour calling people, his manager, his agent, friends, Danny Masterson. That is how I know that instead of calling the police, Ashton took the advice of his team and the advice of Danny to go to the party by yourself. The party that you and Ashley were going to go to together, go by yourself. make up a story. You went to her house. You checked the door. It was locked. She wasn't there. She wasn't answering your phone calls. You looked in the window. You saw something. It was red. You thought it was wine. I mean, even as you hear the story now, you're like, that's obviously a bullshit story, right? Yeah, because it is a bullshit story. That part of the story, the plan, that information came from Chrissy because that's the phone call she overheard. Every other detail in my video came from other former Scientologists who are close to Ashton and also came from more than one LAPD detective. So I just wanted all you Ashton Kutcher fanboys and girls who are out there threatening Jane Doe 3 and trying to put the fear of God into her. Better luck next time. And some of the information is devastating and was shared with me from other former Scientologists who are close with Ashton, not Danny, but Ashton. And I shit you not, shared with me from more than one detective at the LAPD who was working on the case. And those details were as specific as Ashton came in multiple times for interrogations. You know, not like in questioning, you know, not like, did you kill her? But, you know, questioning. The LAPD themselves determined that Ashton was lying about what he saw, didn't see, didn't do at the crime scene. And it was intensely embarrassing. Ashton had to admit to the LAPD that he had been lying. So my video wasn't like, oh my God, this is, you know, the LAPD are now finding out for the first time. No. The LAPD knew Ashton Kutcher had lied in his interrogations about not having entered the house, about I looked in through the window and I saw some red on the carpet, but I thought it was spilled wine. The LAPD, through their own investigation, already determined you couldn't possibly have seen anything Ashton Kutcher had claimed to see from the window. Wasn't possible, at least not in this dimension that we live in. They knew he was lying about having entered the house, meaning Ashton claimed he never entered the house. He claimed the door was locked. He claimed he tried to open the door and it was locked, and that's why he never went in. And then he looked in the window and he saw some stuff. The LAPD was like, this guy is lying his ass off. Another detail. It's not that the LAPD never caught the guy. It's that they couldn't prosecute him because Ashton's lies created reasonable doubt. The LAPD did catch the guy that they believed was the killer. They couldn't prosecute him. The defense would have made mincemeat out of the prosecution because here you had Ashton Kutcher found guilty. I know that's not the right words to use. He wasn't found guilty. Determined by the investigators to have been lying about his presence at the crime scene. How can you possibly successfully prosecute someone when you have someone who was literally at the crime scene, whose fingerprints are at the crime scene? We're talking about Ashton Kutcher, whose DNA is at the crime scene, who lied about being there, makes him look guilty. Now, nobody thinks Ashton Kutcher was guilty of that crime, but it's why they couldn't prosecute Gargiulio. Was it Michael Gargiulio? And this guy, this killer turned out to be a serial killer. He killed another woman after that, many years later. And then many years later after that, he attempted to kill someone else. And that's when he was caught. The person he was trying to kill got sliced. The killer got sliced. The victim got away, but had both persons' DNA on them. And that's how they were able to actually finally successfully prosecute that guy. But what I do know is that Ashton got up on the stand and he gave testimony very similar or identical to the bullshit story that I just relayed to you guys. And the truth is, the detectives who were working the case knew that that testimony was false. Now, was the guy on trial in a jurisdiction that was different than the jurisdiction that the Ashley Ellerin stuff was happening? I have no idea. I'm not that familiar with the details of what the killer was charged for and where the trial took place and everything like that. But the LAPD detectives did know that Ashton was lying at the time. And if they were watching his testimony, they knew he was lying on the stand. That's just the way that it is.